folks. We are Release the Adventure, podcast about getting outside and doing cool stuff. I'm Brad.
And I'm Sean.
And today we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite topics. And when I mean favorite, I mean my grandma had to listen to me when I was 7. That was 20 years ago, homies. 20 years of loving van life.
Whoop whoop.
Sweet, sweet van life. So, quick story to start the whole thing out. The first van I saw, that wasn't a minivan, of course, or something that people drove around in, was a 1958 VW van. That was the really ugly ones. Not the cool 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Not the cool ones, the really ugly ones. And it was half like destroyed. And I don't know if it was fully a VW van or if it was a milk truck, like a Ford milk truck that had a VW. I don't know. Somebody had made this monster child. And then I looked inside and there was carpet. And there was a bed. Obviously, rained out, rusted out, disgusting. But just looking at that, I went, people live in vans?
What?
Asking my grandmother. And I went, I think I want to live in a van.
No, Brad.
And sure enough.
Brad, no.
It's
you cannot live in a van.
That's exactly how it went, too. And then all the way through middle school, high school, my mom still was, you're not living in no car. I raised you to be a good child and go get a real job in a real house. Not live in a van.
I'm just going to...
But little did she know. When you make more money, you can buy what you want when you're an adult.
Hell yeah, adult life.
And sure enough, I bought me a 2018 Ram ProMaster.
Whoop whoop.
So, there goes the whole cycle. But today, we're going to talk about why van life, what kind of van you might want to buy, what is the purpose of van life for each individual. Everybody has their own flow. Sean knows almost nothing.
I know by proxy what you have regurgitated out to me, so I have been birdie-fed information from you.
That's fair. And as you can hear by the excitement in my voice, this is my child. This is something that at some point I did have to sell my van, but at some point I will buy another van or something, maybe a camper. I don't even know. Life's crazy. I'll end up living in something that people are going to be like, are you really? Do you need help? Do you need money?
Sir, are you okay?
No, I make plenty of money. I'm good. Thank you, though.
This is actually a Mercedes Sprinter van, ma'am. This is actually a $60,000 vehicle base model, and then all the stuff that I've put into it, you don't even want to know.
Yeah, you don't even understand. This is worth more than your house.
Yeah.
Just smile and move along, please. So, let's start with why. Why van life? What is the purpose? A lot of people, especially us sweet, sweet millennials, can't afford the housing market. It's blown out of proportion in, I would say, 75% of states or so. Sean, do you think that's a good number?
I don't know. Certain areas, yes. Other areas, no. I had the opportunity in 2016 to become a semi-truck driver, and I got to see most of the country. And most of the country that I saw, I mean, granted, I wasn't a tourist. I was passing through with my semi-truck, but most of it was not worth much, in my humble opinion, especially in the Midwest. Looking at you, Missouri. Looking at you, Arkansas. Looking at
Kansas.
you, Indiana. Especially you, Gary, Indiana. You're like worse than Detroit. I'm sorry.
Oh, shots fired.
Shots fired on Gary, Indiana. You heard it here first.
That's a story for a different day, I'm guessing.
Also, shots fired. You can hear shots being fired in Gary, Indiana every single night. So you know.
Ooh. Okay.
Sorry.
Different story, different time. We'll go to Sean's trucking career at a different hour. Dang.
Sorry.
avoid Gary, Indiana, I guess.
Yeah.
Everybody, just that's the note for that story. Good stuff. Um. Okay. Yeah. The cost of housing is outrageous.
Yes.
If you move to Wyoming or Oklahoma or Kansas or Nebraska, there's lower housing. Some places in Texas, some places in the South. There's places where you can get cheap housing. But there's no jobs there.
Yeah.
So, especially millennials have been looking for what is fulfilling in life. Because we're not going to be able to buy a house at 20, 21, 22 years old. We're just not.
Yeah, that's not a possibility for 95, 99% of millennials.
But if we get a starting out job that makes $30,000 to $35,000 a year, you can absolutely afford a $20,000 van, and then add 10,000. So get a $20,000 van, have a payment on it, and then add 10 to 15 grand to it.
Yeah,
you're looking at 35 into a house, but it's also your primary vehicle, all in one. And some people even make that their office.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting 3 payments that for some people is $2,500, $3,500 with those 3 now into one payment of $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So one, it's financially smart. It makes it easier to get more independent, be able to have a different type of lifestyle. And moving into that, travel.
Yeah.
So Sean, because you noted on this, when you were a truck driver,
mm-hmm.
how often were you able to stop and actually look at the sites?
Very, very little. I was working on my log sheet officially. I was working 70-hour weeks, but realistically, I was working probably 90 to 100-hour weeks. So it was really hard to stop and see the sights. So most of the things that I saw was things that I could see off the interstate. Like when I was driving through Washington, D.C. and Virginia on July 4th. That was cool. Saw a bunch of stuff from the interstate. It was also really sad because it was like, man, I wish I could stop right now. But yeah, it was very little. If I actually stuck with it, I didn't stick with it because I despised that lifestyle of truck driving. Not that I would despise van life, but not being able to stop and enjoy myself was a big deal breaker, and not having my significant other at that time, my wife Yuvi, was a deal breaker. But yeah, I mean, being able to see things would have been really great, and I would say it was maybe once a week I could actually stop and look around during my 70-hour reset.
Okay, so going off that, if you were to have done van life and done maybe even, let's stick with the shipping idea. So there are plenty of people who live in a van and use their van to move cargo. Obviously smaller than a semi could do, but you're moving things like art, things that need a little bit more discreetness when moving.
Maybe flowers.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different jobs like that. There's people who drive all around the country, but they have the ability to just pull over.
Yeah.
Sleep where they want, visit what they want, get to travel as much as you can.
Yeah.
Lots of YouTubers, everybody knows that exists. Van life YouTubers go off, drive around, do whatever. But there's plenty of people who are our age, 25 to 35, who are just doing it and doing seasonal work.
Yeah, I mean,
so they,
especially
like people who love skiing. Yeah. Oh, you're good, Sean. People who like doing skiing, they'll go from living during the summer down south, or they'll even go. There's people I know that go down in Mexico and live in Mexico for 3 or 4 months, wait until the snow comes back, drive back up north, and then they work at a ski resort for the summer or winter.
That's awesome. I think we're kind of getting into kind of generational theory a little bit, but I think that every generation is interested in travel to a certain extent and living independence in a certain extent, but I think millennials are taking that a step further. I don't want to say extremely, just because not every millennial lives that lifestyle, but we're the ones that are really coming up with this, or at the very least bringing it back, because there were some boomers,
Yeah.
some of the counterculture movement that were in those VW buses, and they were all about that too. So
Yeah.
maybe more so bringing it back. But yeah, I mean, definitely it's something that's kind of a product of the housing market and the housing. I'm not economic expert, but I would say there's kind of a looming housing bubble happening, just because I don't
Hmm.
personally think, like, around in my area in Fort Collins, some of these houses, $400,000 to $500,000. I'm sorry, but a lot of those houses do not seem worth $400,000 to $500,000 to me, and
Yeah,
it kind of seems like
exactly.
there's a bubble brewing.
Yeah, and not to get stuck on the uh, generational thing, so I can show that more than just the millennials are the ones that vans. A lot of retirees are starting to move into this RV van life so that they can have the ability to travel on their limited income. Instead of living in an apartment and spending money on that, they spend money on gas and travel and that type of thing. So it's not just for millennials. As we speak for ourselves, we have the more experience on that one. But there's lots of generations and lots of people who are seeing this as a way out of this monotony that is buy a house, raise kids, do all the blah 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 blah,
Yeah,
or retire in Florida and use all your money to buy a lake house.
yeah,
So it
exactly.
gets out of the monotony of the American dream.
Yeah, I think when you listen to a lot of van life people, they talk about getting off of the rat race of society, and just exactly what you explained, just because mortgages are so expensive, and then supposed to settle down, have kids. And I would say millennials are interested in those things, just not at the defined ages that prior generations were interested in. And also with that, like, for me, I put an obscene amount of money into my 401k. A large chunk of my check goes into my 401k. And I've told my wife, like, we're gonna buy something awesome when we retire, and we're just not gonna be. We're just gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be awesome, and that's something that I'm looking forward to when I retire, is to either buy a van, or, and if we have enough money and it makes sense at that time, even buy an RV. I don't know, but you know, a lot of, like what Brad was saying, a lot of people that are retiring nowadays, they want to travel still, but $1 million RV is just not feasible, even with selling your house. It's
Yep,
just not feasible. And so the van life kind of bridges that gap, and it has a lot of really unique solutions in a really compact and minimalist fashion where you're only using what you need. And I think a lot of people gravitate towards that minimalism.
exactly. So let's move into what type of vehicles people are using. There's, I guess, four main brands of vans: Mercedes, Ford, Ram, and Nissan. The Mercedes and the Rams, those are your two big boys. Mercedes, they've been around for a very long time making vans because they've had, I guess, the monopoly on vans in the 2000s with the Econolines, which people are like,
Mm.
oh, that's Ford. Well, all of the GMCs were actually Mercedes engines.
Hmm. Interesting. I
So
didn't know
they're
that.
so it's a Mercedes van that's labeled as a GMC.
Interesting.
So a lot of people look for those style that Econoline looking smaller, not really a high top. But then when 2006, 2007 came around, they started making high tops, and Mercedes started putting their own branding on it, and everybody loved them. And that year, 2006 to 2008, is a very wanted year because you get a used van, so you're not spending $40,000 to $60,000 on a new van. Plus, those engines, if you buy the diesel, can run up to like 350, 400,000 miles if you take care of them.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the big thing when it comes to that Mercedes game. I'm more of a Ram person, and that comes down to personal preference. I like it because it has more headroom, and I'm 6 foot on the dot. So I want to be able to stand up fully and not crouch. And when it came to the Ford and the Nissan, they didn't have that taller roof. Even for their tall roofs, it was only sitting at about 5'9". So
Yeah.
once you put roofing and all that kind of or insulation and ceiling and all that kind of stuff into it and flooring, then lifts it up, you're looking at about 5'6" to 5'8" range. And
Yeah.
if you're under 5'8", buy a Ford. It's cheaper. It's
Yeah.
better. If you're under 5 foot, buy a Nissan.
Oh yeah. I remember looking
They're
at those with you.
they're cute and small. And
They're
I was
fun.
like, I could live in this. But I'm 6 foot and I want to be able to stand up and stretch and be able to cook while standing. So
Right.
those are your four main. But then you also have to put into this van life movement RVs, campers, anything, trucks with slide-in campers, anything you could think of that you can live in and tow behind a vehicle. The vehicle is what you're living in because it's become more than just vans. There's a lot of people that are buying campers, pulling them behind trucks that are super comfortable on doing everything and be able to go on adventures and do all of this, but they can also unhook from their house and then go off and do something else. So that kind of puts a little bit more versatility on the game.
Yeah.
So
Very
I
nice.
guess
To the people out there that want to have the old school VW buses, what do you say to those types of people?
I honestly am going to tell you if you want to live in it full time, I would say no. So there's a YouTuber called Combi Life, Kombi, Combi,
Mm-hmm.
And they're from Australia, and they lived in a traditional VW van. Very cool. I was jealous.
Yeah.
But it has windows all the way around. It's not very insulated.
Yeah.
It's not good for any type of cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to basically redesign the van from the inside out or outside in. Either way, you'd have to take everything apart and put new insulation and probably get rid of a couple windows, which then you're losing that VW feel.
Yeah.
But if you're a weekender, buy a VW. That's just deck it out with some hippie stuff, put some cool colors, make it just feel like you're going to Woodstock, but you're going to go camping.
Put some Rasta stuff up.
Exactly. Feel the jam. So
now, what do you think about?
Oh, go ahead, John.
What do you think about people that like the Euro vans?
So Westphalia,
Yeah, the Westphalia.
style.
Yeah, the little pop, the little high top pop up thing, that kind of deal.
So I'm really into those actually. So what I like about those is it kind of bridges the gap from having to go and buy a high top van.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, because a lot of people like Sportsmobile, they're out of Texas and California. They kind of pioneered this idea of using the Econoline vans from Ford. Because people love those because they're 4x4.
Yeah.
You can lift them, you can make them all fancy.
Yeah.
But they put a pop top that's where your bed is.
Yeah, very nice.
So for me, if I was to buy again and I wasn't going to live in it full time and it was going to be like my weekend / 2 to 3 week trip.
Yeah,
style,
your weekend warrior van.
Yeah, my adventure van. That's what I would buy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get an Econoline with a pop top or a Westphalia. Westphalias are a little expensive because you're buying the name. It's kind of like buying a BMW, but
or a VW
cool.
bus because they have new VW buses nowadays that you can buy.
I saw that. I'm not happy. I'm not. Just quick rant. I don't like them. I don't like the way they look. They don't feel natural. They just feel forced. Like they're just trying to get in the money to buy the money, to get the money. Just felt a little forced, but that's me. Some people will love them. Some people will hate them. Just like Westphalia. I don't like their vans because I don't like the European style look for myself. But I think it's a good option for a lot of people because you can get it for cheaper that has a kind of a one side pop-up style or a full pop-up top. It gives you the ability to bring more than just yourself and your partner, but you could also possibly have kids. And then you can sleep
Yeah.
up top, and then they can sleep on the bottom type of thing. So it gives a little bit more versatility than if you were to get a high top and you can only have one bed. Then you have to think about, well, then I got to build a couch and then turn that into another bed and kind of play
Yeah,
that
for
game of
sure.
designing it around a second bed.
Yeah,
So
that's what I always really liked about those high top, the second layer vans, was that you had more room to expand your kitchen and your living room in the actual van, and then your bedroom was solely for that pop up area. So you kind of not doubled, but you definitely expanded your real estate, I guess you could say.
exactly. And that's a lot of, especially for me, I want a 4x4 because I like to go play in the mountains. So I'd love the ability to be able to bring my mountain bikes, the dogs, the partner, the friends, all the things, and then at the end of the day, be able to still have enough room for a full bed, queen size bed, and have enough room for a full kitchen, possibly even a bathroom, which I've seen a lot of people do curtains. So they'll
Hmm.
build up their bathroom halfway, so all the way to your pop top, and that'll be your door. But once you open that door, you can hook a curtain to the very top of your pop top, and
Mm,
then it gives you a full bathroom. So you can take a shower or use the potty.
fair enough. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember also seeing that Nissan was trying to capitalize on the van life stuff, and I don't know if they ever went through with it, but I remember when you were buying your Ram, they were in the works of trying to put out a 4x4 model, but I don't. I'm on Nissan's website and I'm not seeing that. It looks like they have a bigger NV now because you remember the NV was
hmm
super tiny. Looks like they have a bigger version now.
So they
But
came out with a high top, but they didn't come out with their 4x4 because there wasn't
okay,
enough feelers for it, is what I understood.
uh,
From the
interesting.
research that I did, was that they just didn't have enough people being like, I want a 4x4 Nissan.
Yeah,
It's
it's a good
they
idea, but for Nissan, it's kind of weird.
well, they missed out on their engines are not known for being the best. It's not like you don't go, I want a Nissan engine.
Not
Uh,
not for their anything other than the GTR. I would agree.
but
If
the
it's something
GTR
that
is
deals
not
with the
even a Nissan.
it's yeah, I mean the GTR and the Skyline have a very good pedigree for their engines, but that's a whole different beast.
Exactly. Moving into that sports aggression fast.
Yeah. But yeah, I would generally agree that Nissan is not well known for their engines.
But when you think of a Ford, it's just to me, it's a Ford engine. It's gonna
I
last
think
you
of a
forever.
bad transmission when I think of Ford.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think
That's
of the Ford Fiesta and that thing just constantly having transmission problems.
but that's a car. No one should buy one of those. They're ugly.
I know we're kind of getting into the weeds of brands here, but it's all
We
right.
are. We are. Okay, we'll back it up. So there's all the basic brands and that style of stuff that goes with van life. So basically now you can get in the weeds about any part of van life because what do you want to do with it? Are you just like we've spoken about? Are you going to be a full timer? Are you going to be a snowbird, which is someone who goes south for the winter,
Hmm.
north for the summer, gets away from the cold weather, so they don't really need a lot of insulation. They don't
Hmm.
need a heater. They
Fair.
more want fans and more windows to be able to bring air in.
Yeah.
What is your feel for it? Do you want to be a weekender? Are you really just trying to be that guy that goes, I have the coolest van ever to pull up to like a van fest? Or there's a lot of different places that do tiny house festivals and be able to pull up that type of stuff. So you just got to think about what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want a weekend warrior BA awesome van. Right now, I got a
Yeah.
truck, which is good enough for now. We'll move on. And you can always play this weekend warrior style thing with other vehicles as well. Because you can look up any type of vehicle. I wouldn't say any, close to any type of vehicle on YouTube and go Ford Focus hatchback van life. You'll find somebody that lives in one.
Didn't Alex from Single Track Sampler, didn't he have a Ford Focus hatchback and before he got
Yes,
his
he
van?
did.
Yeah.
Old Sheila.
Old Sheila.
So
Legendary.
so good. Great car. So he lived in Sheila. Alex is Single Track Sampler, YouTuber, great guy. He lived out of his car, but he stayed in a tent, so he didn't sleep in his vehicle.
Yeah, no, his car was filled to the brim with stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of puts that play on there. There was one video I watched about a week ago about a woman who lived in a Prius.
Mm-mm.
So she could drive around forever because they get like 50 to 60 miles a gallon.
Especially if they're the hybrids.
Mm-hmm. And she has a toilet in there. She has to pull it out to use it, but she has a toilet. She has a slide-out kitchen. She has a full twin bed
That's
that
awesome.
she can lay in. It is a fully working house. So if you guys don't want to full commit to, I'm going to go buy a van for $40,000 today, look at your car. Think about it.
Yeah.
What can I do to retrofit mine to at least get me through the weekend?
Exactly. The weekend warrior kind of mentality.
So, Sean, what would you do to your car? And what kind of car do you have first? And what would you do if you were to go, I think I want to stay in it for a week or two?
For a week or two or a weekend?
Oh, let's push it out to 5 days.
Okay, so this is kind of an extended trip. We're taking a small vacation type of deal.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have a 2018 Toyota RAV4. Just the base model was at the SE, I think it is.
Okay.
But
yep.
So it has a good amount of storage space inside of the car itself when you put the seats down. However, it has comes with bars on the top, not the crossbars, but just regular bars. And it does have a little bit of towing capacity. It can tow up to 3,000 pounds, so you can tow most pop-up campers or teardrop campers at that weight. So there's a few options I could go down that route. I would say I would have to do research about how to try to convert something on the inside if I wanted to take seats out and stuff. I don't think I would do that just because I want it to be a car at the end of my trip. So I think I could go down two routes. I think the more economical route is buying what they call them, the rooftop tents, where they connect to your bars and they kind of have like this ladder stability platform. And then so I'm off the ground, a little bit more comfortable, and some of the nicer rooftop tents actually include this like pseudo mattress, this memory foam pseudo mattress, which is very nice. So you're definitely, it's like luxurious camping or glamping essentially. And so I think that would be really nice. But if I had the money, I could easily just get a teardrop or a pop-up camper. But for my current situation, that wouldn't be possible. Just as Brad and I were doing research not too long ago, I was baffled about how expensive teardrop campers are. That was very insightful and baffling.
They're pricey. They're not cheap.
No, I was not ready to see a brand new teardrop being worth $20,000 or more. I was like, holy. Yowza. But yeah, I think a good rooftop tent would be a good way to do that, and then having a composting toilet that you could pull out would be cool.
Okay. Yep.
And then Gary Coleman grill, and maybe one of those the jet boils. Is that what they're called, Brad?
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Maybe one of those if we wanted to go out and backpack a little bit, and then a couple of coolers, like some Yeti coolers for our refrigeration, basically to store the food. And then other than that, the other storage space would be like for water, having those big 7 to 10 gallon jugs.
Exactly. That is a perfect way to go, okay, this is how I'm going to get away with it. And Sean, I'm going to put a little bit of extra to make it a little more glampy. So what you could do is you could build a frame. So if it's you and UV, build a frame that lifts you up off the bottom of the bottom of the bed of your car.
Mm-hmm.
So then your bed is even a little bit higher, so you have even more storage under the bed and in those pockets that are already built into the car.
Mm-hmm.
So then it gives you
Nice.
more room to store food, bring extra blankets, extra clothes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I would definitely be interested in when you were buying your van. It kind of rubbed off on me, and I think that's what originally rubbed off the tiny house life, because it was just like, and how I got UV into the tiny house life. I would say UV's probably more so into tiny house life than I am now. So I think she's close to fairly fully converted as she can be to the tiny house life. But yeah, I mean, it's something that's definitely interests me. I like the minimalism of it. Yeah, it's fun. I like the idea of being able to travel and go wherever I want. I mean, for my future goals, I want to become a nurse, and so I always thought it was very intriguing to become a traveling nurse and going around and during my off days, going seeing awesome places. If that would ever to be the case.
That sounds like a great plan. I like those goals, Sean. It's good stuff.
Thanks.
So, just to kind of round it all out, if you were to do van life, really, I hope you learned from this. Do it your way. Don't look at a YouTuber and go, I'm going to build a van just like theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Go, what do you want to do? What is your ness? What is your purpose in life? If you're a gamer, if you just like playing video games, but you still want to live in a van, there's a way to do it. There's people who have done it. Just Google it. Just get on YouTube. They're there. Anything that you want to do, just strive to do it your way.
Yeah, I mean, you can take inspiration from a lot of different places, but ultimately that's going to be your domain. That's going to be your home. So,
perfect way to say it, John. Perfect way. Well, thank you guys for being here. Talk about van life. If you want to hear more, holler at us. Tell us if you do. Tell us if you don't. Either way, I won't be offended.
Yeah,
but
I think next time if we revisit van life, it's going to be for the full timers, because this was more for the weekend warriors.
That is true. Yeah, we can go more into. That's not a bad idea, Sean. Maybe we'll make that an episode sooner or later.
Yeah.
So don't forget, check us out on the Instagram at Release the Adventure. Check us out on Twitter at Release ADV.
Release the ADV.
Oh, thank you. Release the ADV. Check us out. Give us a comment. Give us a like. Go ahead and review us on Apple, Spotify, and on the site called Podchaser. So you can check us out there. We'd love your comments. We'd love the reviews. Tell us how we're doing. Hit us up on Twitter. We just appreciate you guys being here, talking to us. We talking to you. We just enjoy it.
Yep. And always thank you so much, guys, for listening. Consider, just overall, we really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to listen to us and listen to a small podcast like us. We want to expand the joy into the world, put some positivity out there, and we hope you got some out of that today from today's episode and former episodes and all the episodes going forward.
So we are Release the Adventure! And thanks for coming to Vanning today.